saying this is the truth, my truth. This is what I went through. All I can say is just pretty much stay strong. If you're doubting something, go with your gut. It's not real. This is the truth, my truth. This is what I went through.
Hey.
Yeah.
Alright, so I think we're ready to go now. If you want to just get started on, like, you know, the beginning where we first met, which I remember when, you know, we first spoke and all of that.
Well, I remember I used to live in Tallahassee, and one of my best friends, she knew a guy, which was you, Miguel.
Right.
And so she gave me your number, and then I called you, and we became cool. We started talking, and then you introduced the truth to me. We kept in touch. When I finally did decide to go ahead and visit this church or whatever, I was like, I fell in love. It was everything to me, everything that I was looking for, because I felt like I was getting answers. After a couple months in, I remember I was at work, and I had an email from the comforter,
the so-called,
whatever.
Right.
Yeah, the so-called comforter, whatever.
Right. Let's call him Jermaine.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Jermaine.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, we need to talk or whatever. And I was like, that was strange, because normally you will send somebody else to tell somebody else to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would send a messenger to let someone else know that he needed to talk to somebody. But he was like really blunt. We need to talk. So I called him, and I was like, oh my gosh, like my heart was beating fast. I didn't know what was going on. Like, I was just so blessed that Jermaine was talking to me, blah blah blah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, I have a feeling that you want to talk to me. And I was like, well, I did. You know, I had certain questions about things that were happening in my life that I needed answers for, and I needed his help or whatever. But he answered them really quick, but then it went straight to he had a feeling that I wanted more from him than just a regular talk. And I was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I didn't say it in those words because I had to be respectful. But pretty much he was just blunt with it. He was like, you know you want to do something with me. You know you want more or whatever. And I just left it like that. Like, I didn't answer anything. So we left it at that. I don't recall really date, but I remember he came down one time. At this point, he was like, you know, meet me in the room. It was like a villa. Every time he used to come down here in Orlando, he would rent rooms at the resorts or rent villas. There could be like a 3-bedroom villa just for him, for no reason. So, well, it was a reason to bring me and whoever else in. But, you know, when I finally was in a room by myself with him, it was like, and mind you, this was, I want to say, just a few months. There was no courting, no, you know, because rules don't apply to him. So
Right.
Whatever I learned in church, it was the total opposite when it came to him. He used to even say it, like, if I'm doing it, it's okay, type shit.
Right.
So I was just like, okay, well, I mean, I got to go with him because he was a so-called comforter, the so-called God-sent comforter. So who am I to be questioning? When he finally decided that it was okay to lay down together, which was, again, in a few months, everything that I was taught was, again, the total opposite.
What do you mean?
I remember, well, it was like I was more of a slave than a wife. I wasn't treated like a wife.
Well, nobody even knew that you were his wife. I mean, you know, if it was supposed to be that you were his wife and that he really loved you, it would have been something where he was proud to show you off. But yet it was more of like a secret, right? Because I didn't know. And I think the only one that really knew was my cousin Tazadaqyah, the elect lady, right?
Yeah, she was the only one that knew that we met up and everything, and she was the only one allowed to know. because he knew that me and her were really close. So
Okay.
she would be the one, helping me with whatever I needed. But
Right. Because I
anyways,
remember you did tell me one time that he said to you while she was there, "Why can't you be more like Tazadaqyah?"
yeah,
I remember you
yeah.
said that to me. Yeah.
Because she was so humble and everything. So,
Right.
but in my mind, I was doing everything that I could. Like I was going above and beyond
Yeah.
to try to obey and try to act like a rightful lady. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. That's part of the mind games. You can never do enough.
Right. So yeah, so pretty much I was in secret and I'm so confused at this point because I see everybody, all the other brothers and sisters that are married and were showing love to each other and would represent each other as, and be proudful that, hey, that's my wife or hey, that's my husband. But when it came down to me and him, it was just like, I don't even know you and only come when I call you. Yeah, so that's how it was. Like whenever he used to come in Orlando, it was like meet me in the room, meet me in the room. So when I'm in the room now, I couldn't sit next to him, and I was trying to be a loving wife. I was trying to show him love, but you couldn't. It's like if I didn't have permission, I couldn't touch him. If I didn't have permission, I couldn't stand or sit. It was when he say.
Wow.
So it was just like, yes, sir, or, and that was it. I couldn't say babe. I couldn't say honey, nothing. It was sir.
It was like no endearment. It was just like it seems so cold.
Right. It was very cold. It was depressing and cold. And at this point, we had already laid down together. So it's like, there's no going back. In my mind, I was going with what I was taught, and that was my husband.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm in this forever now.
Well, how did he look at you? Did he ever say anything about you being, what did he say about it?
No, he never said that I was his wife. He never mentioned it. He never treated me like his wife. I remember one time we were sitting at the dining room table, and he was like, I talk to other women. How do you feel about that? And I was like, there's nothing, I can't feel any way about it. You're allowed to do that. There's nothing bad about that. He's like, oh, I thought you were going to just become wicked, and I thought you were going to catch an attitude. And I was like, but, like I already knew that. I knew he had other wives or whatever. Like, to me, that was normal because that's what we were taught. You feel me?
Right. So, but you never met.
There was nothing wrong.
Never met any other wives.
Never met none of them, any of them. What he did say was, he asked me, he said, do you think that we're married? And I was afraid to answer. Like, my first reaction to that would be, yes, of course.
Right.
But I didn't want him to cut me or yell at me or laugh at me, because he was always laughing at me. So I was always feeling stupid. Wow. I was always feeling like my answer wasn't good enough. So I kind of said, well, yeah. He goes, you think that we together, you think that you're my wife and we're husband because we slept together? No, it doesn't work like that.
Wow. It doesn't work like that.
That's when I became really confused, because I was just like, okay, well, all these months in class learning one thing, but it's totally different with him. So we're not married, even though we slept together. So I'm like, okay. And then being sexual was, I don't even know how it was pleasing to him. It was pleasing to him because he was the one getting everything how he wanted to get it. I didn't have no say. I couldn't do anything a certain way. It was just what he say.
Right.
Not to get graphic and nasty, but I remember a story in the Bible saying that you couldn't waste the semen.
Right, in Genesis.
Right, and he did it all the time.
He spilled his semen. He didn't keep it in. Right.
No, not at all. When it was time to pull out, and that was it.
which a lot of members in there do that anyways. The ones especially that you see that don't have kids, they either be on birth control or they do that because they know
Right.
they don't want to bring an innocent life into a crazy cult like that, man. But yeah,
Right.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's what the intimate times were like. It was nothing like what preaches. He preaches one thing and then
And then
he
I
does
remember him
another.
making DVDs and about the keys to successful marriage. You know
Right.
what I mean? He was so loving and oh my gosh, anybody would have loved to be with him type thing. But
Right.
to actually be with him was the total opposite. It was not like those DVDs. Like he didn't practice anything that he preached.
Right. So he would bring up other women and try to throw that in your face that he's with other women also, you said?
Yeah, to see my
To
reaction.
fill you out.
There was another sister that came in months after me,
Lauren.
and yeah, and
Hmm.
he was messing with her too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I seen her recently too. She's around. She's out here in
yeah,
Orlando.
she got more attention than I did. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Right.
She definitely, I don't know what it was, and again, she came after me,
Hmm.
but she got flown out to New York for the picnics and was in the tents with the so-called apostles or whatever. She did a lot, you know what I mean? And he will throw that in my face too. And we talked about her a lot when me and him were together.
Right.
He used to be like, I don't think you like her. And I was like, I don't have a problem with her. That's my sister. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
he's like, I think you're jealous because um, she sees me. And I'm like, but I'm not. You know what I mean? It's like, at the end of the day, I really wasn't.
Right.
Like, I wasn't.
And that,
Because,
by that
again, it
time
was normal.
he felt like he already had you, right? Because you said this so-called wife came in, you said months after, so he already felt like he already had you in his pocket, right? He tested you and
Yeah.
all of that. And was he nice to you at all in the beginning though? Like anything to butter you
In
up?
the beginning,
Yeah.
yeah, the only thing he did was, like, the only time he was nice, it was for my birthday. And I think that was in '08. And that was the only time. And I was, like, in the beginning.
Right.
In the beginning.
Right in the beginning.
Yeah.
Before
Right in
before
the
the
beginning,
sister before the sister Lauren.
yeah, way before her.
Okay.
Way before her.
Right.
Because she came in after,
And
months after
with
me.
her it was really quick too. Like he was I mean I heard stories about her and cuz she spoke out. He was really jealous about her ex-man and always, the same thing. Same thing, really jealous. Which I want to get into that too with Zion because you told me that he was always insecure about that guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, me and him, we used to make music together. And, he knew that I had to go to the studio,
Hmm.
or he knew that I had to, sit with him to write music or whatever the case may be. And out of nowhere, like when I would meet him in the room, he used to, it was like he was bored and he didn't have nothing else to do. So he would just, like, mentally torture me, pretty much.
Wow.
So he'll just bring that out of nowhere, and he'll be like, you like that brother Zion, right? You like him, right? You want me to hook him up? You want me to hook you up?"
Want me to
And
hook
I was
you
like,
up?
what?
That's insane.
Yeah, and mind you, this was after me and him had already laid down together. So what are you
Right.
what do you mean you're trying to hook up your wife
Hmm.
with another brother? And I was like, I was like, no,
he would have
like,
tore into you
I
if you would have said, yeah, that's why.
I was like,
Wow.
no, sir. He was like, are you sure? I think you do. I was like, no, sir. Like, what?
He always thinks he knows something, doesn't he?
Right. He always said he knew something. Like, for instance, one time we were in the room again, because, again, that's the only time I was able to even come close to him, when we were behind closed doors. In
Hmm.
front of everybody else, nobody even knew that that was my husband.
Right.
So one time, again, I guess he was bored, and he was like, if I tell you to kiss my ass, will you kiss my ass?
To kiss his ass?
Yeah.
Kiss it.
And I was like, well, if you tell me to kiss your ass, then I have to kiss your ass. And he was like, then do it. And he laid down on the couch and got on his stomach, and he was like, get on your knees and kiss my ass.
Wow. That's crazy.
And I got on my knees and kissed his ass.
Wow. How did he react?
Nothing. He laughed about it.
Laughed about it?
Yeah.
That guy is a damn demon, man. When
Like I said, he was always laughing at me. Always laughing.
Yeah, I saw that. I wanted to talk about that too. It was one day when he was out, and he loved coming out to Orlando. It was after class one time. I already told the story on another video, but I'm gonna tell it again. After class, I was the highest rank. It had to be around the time of the first Archangel Awards out here in Orlando at the Hard Rock. It had to be around that time, which was November of '08. And it was myself, it was Barack Bun, and Manatazak. We were all captain of 13,000s, and we were called in. And as soon as we came in, you were sitting there just crying really hard. I'll never forget it. And as soon as we came in, we stood at a Majim Shabbat, and right in front of the podium. He was sitting up at the podium. Tazapawan was right next to him. And I believe some brothers from the video department were around, maybe gathering, the stuff after class. Yeah. And you were sitting there crying, and he's just with a smirk on his face telling us, look at this sister. We turn around, and we had to turn around and look at you as you were crying. And he said, this sister's a bum. She's a leech. She's taking advantage of sisters and all this crap, which I know was all lies because you were living with another sister, just like everybody else in that church. They was, living with everybody else. At the
time, it was a hard time for me. And
of course, yeah. Coming into the church, paying 20% of your income. Yeah, definitely.
Right. So it was super hard. And, I was trying to get on my feet. And at the time, I wasn't able to find a job. So I was staying with a sister. Mm-hmm. When he found that out, he told me I had to find somewhere else to live. I had to go to either a women's shelter or just anyone else but he didn't want me to live in with anyone else. Right. Period. I had to make it on my own.
Right. Yeah, the order was, and I was the one that was put over, basically monitoring you, your everyday moves pretty much, and it was pretty much you have to find a place to stay and the job mm-hmm. within 30 days. And I still have the emails. I still have all the emails around that time, the emails that we were sending to each other, and the email that Chief Priest Yashar sent after the 30 days were up when you were put out. So you were put out, but I understand. I think you were still dealing with him, right, at that time when you were put out. But you did find a job. You just didn't find a place to stay at the time. I think that's what it was.
Right. I
remember you were working like at CVS or Walgreens or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was working at a CVS. I had found a job, but he had told me, he was like, I don't want to hear or see that you're staying with anybody else. So I slept in my car for 3 days. Wow. And then just to show him that, look, I'm trying. I'm not staying with anyone. And I would just park my car in someone's driveway and just to be safe. And I slept in my car.
Wow.
For 3 days. And I still got up, we'll go to the gas station and brush my teeth and go to the Sabbath. Faithfully.
Wow.
As a woman, mind you.
Wow.
So it was okay for him, and this was after me and him had messed around. So again, I'm your wife, and you don't give two shits whether I'm in the street sleeping in those conditions
And all this time I didn't know that, but you were reporting to me. You know, you had to call me and report to me, and I had to type it up and send the email to him. So
Right.
during this time, this was the 30-day period. You're saying that you were sleeping in a car, in your car. That's messed up, man. That's so fucked up.
Yeah.
And I remember him
So,
at that council, you know, laughing, calling you a bum, and you were just crying, and I felt so
yeah, because
bad.
after I slept in the car, like I went, one of the sisters took me in, and
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this like for maybe one more week, because the minute I get my first check, I'm gonna go ahead and find me a place. Everything, because this is how he wanted it to be. I don't know if he just wanted me by myself, so then he can come visit and just have his way or whatever. But it had to be in a certain time frame. So the minute he found out that I went back and stayed with the sister for another week, that's when I got called in and got put out, and like called me all types of names in in the temple, like just went all out, and he made you guys look at me, and it was completely embarrassing,
Right.
because I'm like, what did I do to this dude? Like, what did I do? All I've been doing is everything he's been telling me to do. All I've been doing is obeying him.
Right.
Like, and now I'm getting kicked out indefinitely. Like, that was everybody's fear, because you could be out for 5-6 years. You know what I mean? And I would have went crazy out here. Thank God I didn't. I'm stronger than that. Hell, stronger than him. Like,
Yeah, no, I have to.
I
I should have thanked you from the beginning of this video, but I mean, thank you for speaking out. Like, I really appreciate it, because there's a lot of people that need to hear what you're saying. You know, and
no doubt. And I
they're
mean, I
definitely.
hope they really wake up. Like,
I
I
mean,
mean, I was there at
if
one point.
if
I thought
yeah,
that I would never would wake up from this, but I did.
you have to be a strong-minded person to say, you know what, there's something wrong here, you know? Because I remember while I was there and I would see all the negative stuff, it's like you know there's something wrong going on, but in the back of your mind you think that this is where you're supposed to be, and that this is
Yeah,
where
because
God is.
he'll put that fear in you. He'll
Yeah.
say that you're wicked and you have demons in you if you think differently.
Right, right.
And I mean, he used to do me the same way in the room. He'll sit across from me at the dining room table, and he'll be like, "Look to your." He'll say, "Look to your right. You have a demon on your face right now." And I'll be like, so I'll look to my right, and he's like, "Let me just talk to this demon real quick, because he's here right now." So whenever I'll try to look at him, he's like, "What did I say? Didn't I tell you not to look at me? I told you not to look at me."
Right.
And he's like, "There's this demon right here." He would slam the phone against the table, and like super loud, so I can jump. Mind you, I'm sleep deprived because I wasn't allowed to sleep pretty much.
Right. He wouldn't let you sleep. Right? He would tell you to
Right.
stay up and wait for him and all that crap. Yeah, that's another form of that's what they do to sex slaves. That's what they do to sex slaves. It's easier to manipulate them that way. They try to break them psychologically, you know, and keep them
Right.
isolated. Um, so tell me about the second Passover when when he kept you isolated at some hotel or something. Remember that?
It was the second Passover. I think it was second Passover. I went up to New York. I wanted to stay with a sister named Hannah,
Good old
and
Hannah. Yeah, Hannah was the one that I spoke to, and I was like, listen, you gotta hit up Yahalama and, you know, hit her up, see if she'll speak out. That's when you finally spoke out. It was through her, right?
yeah, I mean, she was
I
so
love.
nice. We still talk.
She's cool as
She's
hell.
everything. I love her.
Yeah, I love Hannah. She was really close to my cousin too, man. I remember her.
Yeah, the realest one.
She's real, yeah.
She's still down to earth
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, for
everything.
sure, for sure.
Very cool.
So you wanted to
Yeah.
stay at her house, right?
So yeah, so I was there with Taza Warrior, And at one point, you know, once I got there, I was clean, but I became unclean the day, I want to say the same day or the day after. So he found this out, and he was like, well, you can't come into the temple, obviously. So he, matter of fact, right after the Sabbath, we were there for the Sabbath, and right after the Sabbath, I became unclean. So he picked me up downstairs and took me to Jersey, to a hotel in Jersey, and I had to stay there for the whole weekend. I didn't hear from him. None of that. And then I was like, am I going to see you before I leave or whatever? Like, I managed to get that out. And he was like, what you trying to do, woman? You trying to get me unclean? I mean, how selfish can you be?
Wow.
You want to get me unclean, and I'm the comforter, and I got to be at the Sabbath.
That sounds like when they do a siege, like this is like an army tactic where they keep you isolated for a prolonged period of time, which is it's like a prolonged period of misfortune, pretty much, where you're just isolated, just you, and you're just sitting waiting. That's another mental trick. This guy definitely studies all this stuff, man. I have no doubt in my mind that this guy reads these books, puts it into play, you know, practices with other people to try to see how it works.
Yeah, he left me there, and then he didn't even pick me up. He had Tazadaqyah and whoever else I rode up there with pick me up to go back home.
All right. So we went back a little bit, but when you got put out, now that's the last time I heard from you.
I got put out, and I wasn't able to speak to anybody. I think I spoke to him a couple of times after that, but that was it. Then he completely stopped texting, calling. It was like I was a nobody out here.
There's a story that we spoke about with Rapaya Allah, who's Batazal Allah now, and his wife.
Yeah,
because you used to stay.
I used to love them so much too, but he turned them against me.
Yeah,
but that was like my sister. Like, we made music together.
You had an ex-boyfriend that was stalking you, and he found you.
Yeah, it was. I swear, it was the weirdest thing. Like, I had this ex-boyfriend, and I guess he had friends that lived where the brother and sister used to live. And I was going over there because at some point I had some of my stuff over there. Mind you, I was like looking for a place to stay. So they were kind enough to keep some of my stuff at their place. So I used to go and get certain things or whatever. But this one time, while I was parked in the car, my ex was pulling in too, and I was just like, holy crap! Like, I haven't seen this dude in like years. So what I did was, because I know him, I ran. Like, I got out of the car and I ran into the brother's house, and I hurried up and knocked on the door so they can let me in before he actually knew what door I was going into. And I was just like, because I know him, he'll try to stop me, he'll try to talk, you know what I mean? And it's like, again, I'm the comforter's wife. I can't be either. That would be so disrespectful for me to even talk to an ex, you know what I mean? So I literally ran. And while I was in there, the brother looked out the window. He was like, what's going on? You okay? And I was like, no, like, I just seen my ex out there, but hopefully he didn't see me come in here. So he was like, no, you're good. I think he's looking around, but he left. So I stayed there for a while, and I was shook. I was like, oh, my gosh. But the brother had to report it.
Right.
He had to report it.
Right.
So when he reported it, Jermaine found out, and that was it. Right. He flipped.
Yeah.
He was like, you fucking another nigga.
Which that wasn't what was reported to him. What was reported to him was the story that you just mentioned. And he assumed, he wanted to assume that you were sleeping with some other guy, of course.
Yeah. So he thought that it was a crazy story. It didn't go like that. The reason why he was following me was because I was sleeping with him. Like, some off the wall type shit.
Right.
Crazy stuff. And I'm like, what? Like, I put that on everything, that I wasn't speaking or messing around with anyone else. Like, I was scared to do anything.
Yeah, which is stupid.
Especially with anybody in the world. You know what I mean? Like,
it's stupid.
are you kidding me?
He's either really stupid or he's purposely,
So
doing that. Yeah.
Right. So he made them be against me because now the brother's trying to protect his wife and was like, look, if this sister is out here wilding out, I want you to really, watch yourself with her. Mm-hmm. Like, he turned mad people against me.
Right.
Putting out accusations that I'm doing this and I'm doing that.
But that was your ex-boyfriend, so you did do something in the past. So obviously the guy, still had something for you, but he was trying to make it seem like no.
He probably I don't know, but I know him well enough. We went to high school together,
right?
Mind you, so I know him well enough. I know that he probably just wanted to say, hey, or oh my gosh, long time no see. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. But I didn't allow him to even do that. Okay. That was not going down.
Right.
I was like, I'm not. Hell no. That'll be me going off.
Right.
Because again, I felt like Jermaine was the so-called comforter and the so-called God sent. I had all my faith and belief in this dude. You know what I mean? So in my mind, I'm thinking, if I'm doing something right here, right now, he will know about it no matter what. God will tell him what I'm doing.
Right.
That's how I felt.
Right.
So I was like, there's no way God is looking at me. I'm just going to run away from this dude. And then,
Which it would have been wrong if you would have just said hi to him, but you were just already in that state of mind.
Yeah, no, it was just, yeah, exactly. I was scared.
Right. So then
at this point, everything started falling. Like, it was just like, you had people doubting me, not trusting me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, like, he's really making me out to be. Before Jermaine, when I was in the truth, it was all love. It was all love. Whether the truth is the wrong thing or not, mm-hmm. The people that I used to conversate with was all love. We were like brothers and sisters for real. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I loved everyone and everybody loved me.
Right.
But the minute me and Jermaine got together, it was just like everything was robotic. Everything was depressing.
So that was it. He put you away as his wife. He didn't want to deal with you anymore as his wife because he thought that you committed adultery, even though he didn't really have any proof, and you were begging him and pleading with him, telling him that you're not lying, that you wouldn't do that. And why would you do that if you feel he's the comforter?
Exactly. That's my thing. It was so confusing. It was so confusing.
Yeah, no, I think he was just trying to put you away and not just be like, I don't want to deal with her anymore.
Right. And then after the 5-6 years or whatever, somebody emailed me. They were like, it's time. They were like, come in for counseling or whatever the case may be. And at that time, I was over it. I got shook a little bit because, again, it just brought me back memories to what I went through.
Right.
But I was strong enough to press delete mm-hmm. and get that email out of my computer. I didn't even respond. I was like, there's no way I'm going back. The best thing that Jermaine could have done for me, the best thing he could have done was put me out. Like, that was my blessing.
Yeah.
Like, God was looking out for me.
Right.
And he was like, let me make this dude put her out because she don't belong here. That's the way I see it. I mean, there was one time where we met up at a room or whatever, and at a villa. And like one day he was just like, it was a 3-bedroom or 2 or 3-bedroom or whatever. And one night he was like, get completely naked and go lay in the other room. Not my room. You're not allowed to be in there. Just go in the guest bedroom. Lay in there, but don't fall asleep. And then wait for me to call you. That's how it was. So I would lay there and I was so tired. Like, of course I dozed off. Of course. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you're so tired. You're dealing with everything that you got to deal with in life. And then when he's around, you got to always be ready for his call. You can't do anything else. So I'm in there for hours while he's either watching TV, talking on the phone, talking to somebody, some other female on the phone. He probably even fell asleep himself, but I wasn't allowed to fall asleep. And then say maybe if I came in at 8, maybe around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, he will come in and be like, all right, come on. And then that's when I was allowed to go in his room and do whatever he wanted to do.
Sounds like a horrible relationship.
And then I will leave at that time or whatever. Another time I was there, right before I was leaving, he was like sitting in the living room area, but you could see the front door from the living room. So like right when I was almost near the door, he was like, stop, turn around. And I turned around and I'm looking at him and he was like, stand right there and don't move. So I didn't move. And he just started throwing change at me, like quarters. Change. Because I looked at the floor and there was quarters.
Yeah. And
hitting me with change. And at one point, like, I moved a little because it hit my face. And he was like, what did I say? I said, do not move. You don't listen, woman? Like I was going off because I moved a little bit. And while he's doing this, he's laughing. He's like, laughing like somebody was tickling his big ass.
Like a demon. Like a goddamn demon.
Like a demon, yeah. He was laughing. It was fun. It was funny for him to see me standing there being hit by change.
He's a
from across the room.
He's a sociopath. There's no doubt about it.
So, and then when he was done, he was like, all right, I'm done. You can go now. It was just like I was his toy.
Yeah, that's pretty much how everybody in the church is being played, like a toy. And man, that's just a sad story. It's like that will break anybody. You know that, right? This, like, if you weren't such a strong-minded person, you would have probably fell into deep depression and even became suicidal, which this is what happens to women in there. That's what happened to Nisha. Nisha became so depressed that she wanted to take her life one time, and this is why he has custody of the children, because he manipulated that situation, which was all his fault anyway, because the reason why she was so depressed was because she endured so much. I mean, she was with him for 13 years or something like that. Well, of course,
and that's a long-ass time. I got lucky. For me, it was just like maybe 2 years.
2 years? Okay.
I got lucky. So, thank God for that.
So you guys
I would have been.
You guys were together for 2 years?
No, we weren't together for 2 years. But what I mean is, like, we were together for half a year.
Okay.
And then I was in there for another year, you know what I mean? But after I got put out, a couple of years after that, I was still dwelling on this shit.
Yeah. You feel the after effects, of course. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was always wondering if God was mad at me. I didn't want to do anything crazy because it was a constant battle within myself, wondering how God felt about me because I just went off. So he claimed.
Yeah, this is why the members in there don't leave, because they wait around, and that dwells on them. If you would have been in the church, if he would have kept you in there, you probably would have stayed in there, because that fear, it's that fear that they place on you, and it's all through the doctrine, because you were seeing all this evil. But it was because of that doctrine that you knew, well, this is a man of God. Nobody can teach the Bible like him, as far as we know.
Exactly.
Because we never seen anybody else teach the Bible, really. But, this is like with the Antichrist unit. Their response to all the stuff that was found in the van was, well, who else came out with the breakdown of Dan? This was their response to all the stuff that they found in the van that was Tazadaqyah stuff. Their response was, who else is teaching us this stuff? So it's clear that these people see that there's something wrong, but they can't find the way out of the doctrine. That's the problem. That's crazy,
But
man. Mind control, mind control. If you want to, I don't know. Do you want to like give a message to them or something like that? You don't have to. To like Taza Warrior or some, you know, somebody in there to the.
Taz, oh my God, like it's just hard. Like I don't know if she will ever listen to anyone
Yeah.
because she's
Yeah.
so far in. And I remember how dedicated she was when I wasn't. You know what I mean? And it was like, you know, I even wanted to be somewhat like her. She's all I wanted to be when I was in there. That was my goal.
Right.
But I just feel really bad. It hurts my soul. It hurts my soul to see someone that I loved and cared so much still be in this situation where she's at right now.
Yes.
I'm so glad that my other friend Hannah, she's out
Right.
and we speak every day. But all I can say is just pretty much stay strong. If you're doubting something, go with your gut. Go with your gut because it's not real. Whatever's happening and whatever you're listening to, none of that shit is real. I'm not being rebellious or anything. This is the truth, my truth. This is what I went through.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing else you can do but move on and live your life.
Right. Right.